Welcome to Marketing Made Clear. I'm your host, Will Green. This will be the first of the bonus episodes that follows my episode on podcasts. And what better place to start than with my partner in crime from the Paleo podcast, Esther Logue, or Logie One Kenobi. Esther's just been to see Cypress Hill at the Royal Albert Hall, so I thought a special theme would be nice for the episode. Doesn't sound like Cypress Hill, but it does sound pretty cool. Here we go.
Step into the scene with a fierce fire. From the ground up, we'll take you higher. In the rhythm of progress, we find our beat. Hustling every day, we can't be beat. Marketing made clear. We're here to educate from beginners to pros. We'll elevate, bringing the insight like a blazing spark. Together we'll conquer, leaving our mark. Marketing made clear. We're here to educate from beginners to pros. We'll elevate, bringing the insights like a blazing spark. Together we'll conquer, leaving our mark.
So this episode is structured with an intro, the recording itself, and then a bit of a reflection from me at the end, where I relate some of the conversation to other things that might be of interest. Esther is Content and Communications Manager at Paleo Ridge, and Esther joined Paleo Ridge over 5 years ago, and she built the customer service department from the ground up, carefully growing Paleo Ridge's reputation for outstanding customer service, which has been maintained ever since, winning plenty of gold and platinum service awards along the way. Esther is a fountain of knowledge for raw dog food, and she has a passion for nutrition and has put this into practice, creating content as well as playing a huge role in new product development over the years. Alongside her full-time job as the Paleo Ridge resident expert, Esther is studying a 3-year nutritional course which will give her a recognised qualification that she wholeheartedly deserves. Esther can be found on Paleo Ridge's social media channels with collaborations with Anna Webb and others, or you might find her foraging in the woods for mushrooms. A massive welcome to the wonderful Esther Logue. So Esther, thank you so much for joining me on the Marketing Made Clear podcast. It's a little bit different from our usual podcast, which is dog related with the Paleo Pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be on Marketing Made Clear.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a different world, but you'll love it. Obviously, we're both fairly new to podcasting. We've done about 10 episodes at the moment on the Paleo Pod. We have lots more planned, but, we don't always have the time. I just wondered if you could give me your kind of perspective as a new podcaster and, how you're finding it.
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. I think at first I was quite nervous, to be honest, because, podcasts are massive, aren't they? And, I listen to a lot of podcasts myself, and the ones you listen to, the flow is just so good. They don't seem nervous at all, and it seems like they've got everything together. Whereas I think when we first went to do our first episode, I was so conscious of the fact that we hadn't done one before, that I was a bit nervous. But actually, after we did the first one, I was like, this is great. And I think after you just get over that first hurdle of doing the first one, then all the ideas start coming.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we both found that. We got the first one out of the way, which was a bit kind of awkward.
Yeah, it was.
It was like weirdly talking to a microphone whilst having a conversation or whatever. But
I think on the first one as well, because we've not done it before, we almost we didn't script it, but we put more down on paper to kind of guide us through it. And it was quite difficult to not just read the script and go naturally. But I think the first half was a little bit rigid, a bit paleo rigid. And then the last half, and that. And then the last half, we just felt a bit more relaxed and less frigid, more confident.
I mean, I felt like I was at a slight disadvantage. I mean, we've both appeared on the Anna Webb podcast, which is awesome, Dog's Life. So that was a good experience for both of us. But having been in customer services, obviously you do a lot more talking about this kind of topic on the phone, whereas I've only really written about it. I haven't had a lot of discussions or presentations on the topic. Did you find that helped?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, talking about these sorts of things to customers every day, and also doing that Anna Webb podcast as well was a massive help, because I've done quite a few with her, which has got me a bit used to the podcast life. But yeah, talking to customers about, anything dog related has been a massive help. So when we actually get into the flow of talking about dog related issues or the standard stuff that customers ask about, it's quite easy for me to just slip into the giving advice aspect of it.
Because I mean, I've heard you on the phone to customers and you're obviously amazing at that.
Yeah,
So,
thanks, Will.
yeah. But yeah, so I think, there was that kind of, it wasn't as natural for me, I don't think. Not that I'm not giving you excuses.
No,
Yeah.
no, but I
Yeah.
think as well, it's even on the podcast to follow that. Just after the first one, I think you became just more natural in talking about
Yeah.
these things. So
Yeah.
it's like a practice thing. But also,
Yeah.
you kind of mostly know what you're on about,
Mostly.
mostly.
Yeah. The operative word there. But yeah. And obviously you've done a lot on social media as well, because you've done the Ask Esther kind of social media clips that you've recorded. And, again, I talked to Anna in an interview that I did with her about the clip that you guys did on Instagram Live, where some random lady just joined from the back of a taxi.
I'm so gutted that is not around anymore, that video, because it was actually deleted, but that was so funny. But
Yeah.
it wasn't a random woman. It was actually someone that Anna knew, but it was just funny that we were just talking and she'd accidentally joined without realizing that she was on there for everybody to see. And it was hilarious, wasn't it?
Yeah. Probably a little bit different from your perspective to my perspective, because my perspective, I could just laugh away, not doing anything to help, but just enjoying the awkwardness, really.
Yeah, because we were trying to tell her like how to get off of the live, but I don't think she realized we were talking to her. So it was that was brilliant. But these things do
She was
happen.
probably like, this is great, this technology. Like, wow, they're talking right to me.
Yeah. But these things, they do happen with technology. And, I found that actually when I started doing Instagram lives, I was way more nervous about doing those than recording podcasts, because recording podcasts, is just a voice. Whereas, you're very conscious when you start doing lives and videos and stuff that, you have to be conscious about how you're coming across visually as well as how you're sounding audibly as well.
Yeah.
Is audibly a word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
No, I totally get that. And also with social media, when you're doing the Ask Esther posts, I guess you can just record it again if you don't like it.
Yeah, so those are, they're much easier to do because we can do a massive amount of takes if we need to. We can't do that on a live, but yeah, I'm way more comfortable now with doing these sorts of things because of the practice that I've had, and like you said, speaking to customers on the phone, and also speaking to customers at events that we do at shows.
Yeah, definitely.
Does help.
Yeah, that's helped me as well, for sure.
Yeah.
A weird question because we're in the podcast together, but what advice would you give to other podcasters? Some people that are new to podcasting about what kind of things they should do before an episode, preparation and all that kind of stuff.
So I would probably say to prepare, obviously, the topic you're going to talk about and some pointers, some prompts in there. I wouldn't write an entire script because I don't think that that's necessary and it takes away from sounding natural. Yeah, just to make it go in there, to make it as natural as possible and having like a general conversation. Because I think with podcasts as well, it's okay if you go off on tangents, like from the subject. Well, especially
that's
with
good for me.
Oh, that's your, yeah.
Speciality.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, so I would say not being too rigid with the flow of the conversation. Because I don't know about you, but a lot of podcasts I've listened to as well, I actually love it when they go off on tangents about different things. It just keeps it quite interesting, doesn't it? So to be as relaxed as possible and not too scripted. I also think to include some fun in there as well, because if it's very like information focused and, information is great and advice is great, but it's also good to have a bit of natural comedy in there as well.
Bit of entertainment as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, we've definitely done that, and we've definitely tried to do that, let's say. But sometimes we laugh at our own jokes, don't we? And we get off someone a little bit. When it goes to editing, I've had to cut a lot out.
Yeah, I can imagine, because that's the thing. Once you start laughing as well, I mean, I know that we laugh at our own jokes anyway, obviously, because we're hilarious. But
obviously.
Once you start laughing and the other person starts laughing, it's really hard to get out of that kind of giggling cycle.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, obviously people might be able to hear some beeping and stuff in the background because Paleo Ridge is a busy business. We have 2 factories and we record at one of them usually when we're doing our recordings, but you can hear a lot of background noise. So often we go to a car or something to record in the car because it's a bit of you get a better sound in there or whatever. And actually my car's got a bit of a reputation for being a good studio because we've recorded a couple of episodes of Anna in there, a couple of episodes of the Paleo podcast in there.
Yeah, so there's actually, there's probably 3 times actually that we've had some funny moments in your car. I think one of them was when the first time we recorded with Anna, we recorded a podcast with Anna in the back of your car at the London Vet Show. And it was just hilarious, just the 3 of us just being in the back of the car. And I know there were lots of people walking past being like, what are they doing in there? Which was quite fun. Yeah. And then another one was actually when we were recording our first podcast episode. So as if we weren't under pressure enough as it was, we were sat in your car and it was parked against a bush. And there was a pigeon, and this pigeon I've never seen a pigeon do this before, but it had its wings out and it was like up against the bush. And I don't know what it was trying to do, but it was so distracting. I just couldn't help but laugh. I was like, oh, what is this pigeon doing?
It was trying to be in the bush, but it wasn't in the bush, and it couldn't be in the bush because the bush was not big enough for it.
Yeah.
And it was like, why, with trains going past and vehicles and stuff like that, it was like, what? Why is this happening?
It was really strange. I would just it was just funny that we were there at that moment to see that pigeon doing whatever it was doing. It was so distracting, but it was so hilarious.
Yeah, very bizarre. It was testing and, we got through that. So if we can get through that, we can get through anything.
Yeah.
And obviously at our site, there's a train line that goes right past us as well.
Yeah, that was going to be my third point of when we sat and recorded. I think it was when we came back from Crofts, wasn't it? And we were exhausted anyway, and we were sat trying to do this podcast with like half a brain cell each, and and the trains just kept going past, didn't they? And I shouted at one.
You did, yeah. I bleeped it out though, so it's fine.
Yeah. Swearing at trains is not something I usually do, but.
Well, each to their own. I think at Croft as well, we set ourselves quite a big target of doing an episode every day, which was pretty hardcore because Croft's at its base level is a really hectic kind of show. We are there for 4 days with customers, but we're there for a day setup beforehand as well. And you're on your feet all day, every day. You're speaking constantly and pulled apart in every direction. So we threw into the mix that we were going to do this podcast as well, which went down really, really well. I would say we had some really good guests on there, but it was quite hard going, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was exhausting. We got some great people on there though, which I was surprised actually at the amount of people who were like actually really buzzing to be on the podcast. And I think each of the snippets that we got with people as well were actually really great content. But yeah, it was, I think we did well. We were very ambitious with it, but we pulled it off quite nicely. Yeah. And it was, Crofts is a mad event. It's great fun, but it takes a lot out of you. And to do the podcast every day as well. I mean, you had to edit it every evening as well to get it out on that day. So even though I'm saying, oh God, it was really exhausting, you then had to go and spend, between 2 and 4 hours actually after a full day going to edit it, which you managed to do each day. So that was quite impressive.
Yeah, and we were quite opportunist about that because there was like a demonstration going on outside that I kind of jumped in and just interviewed someone with. And, there was a few other people that we didn't know were going to be there. We kind of grabbed on the fly. And one of the people we interviewed was Yaz, who is also going to be on the Marketing Made Clear podcast as well.
She's great.
That's really cool. Maybe next year we'll see if somebody will help us with the editing.
That would be nice if we could. And then we can go out and do more and find more people to talk to.
And just go out in the evening more.
Yeah, not that we need to do that, but it would be nice. It would be nice to. But the podcast definitely. I think has been like a really great experience so far, and I'm really looking forward to doing more episodes and giving more advice and basically just developing the podcast so it sounds very professional in the term of podcast world. So having like a really good flow and also having more guests as well.
Yeah. People might not know, but we've moved the podcast to Riverside now. So from episode 9 onwards, they will be recorded through Riverside, which is a really good platform for us. It's going to kind of change things a little bit. The sound quality will be a lot better. It will mean that Esther and I won't record in the same location, actually, which is going to be a bit different, a bit weird. But well, hopefully that will add also video to be able to do podcast video on YouTube as well. So exciting.
That would be good. Very exciting. And no pigeons anymore, sadly.
No fucking pigeons.
Oh, which is a shame.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know.
Is it a shame?
I don't know.
No, it's not a shame.
Include the pidge.
Paleo pidge.
Paleo pidge.
I'm just wondering if you could give me maybe some words of encouragement or advice or anything for the podcast going forwards.
I would just say to keep being your wonderful self, because you are very funny. And
thank you.
Yeah.
I'll give you the money for that later.
Yes. That. Yeah, thank you. I just think keep doing what you're doing. I know that you have quite a unique style of certain things, so keep doing that. I know that your first podcast is done very well, so you should be very proud.
It has actually, yeah.
Yeah,
I have.
And just keep doing what you're doing, I think, and I look forward to hearing more episodes.
Thank you. Yeah, and the first episode, here you go for the big wow. I'm prepared to be seriously wowed by this. It ranked 94th in business podcasts in the UK.
That's amazing.
I don't know how many podcasts there are in the UK, but 94th. There you go.
That's amazing. That's really good. I think that's quite an achievement, having, considering that you just launched it. I'm going to have to do some work on the Paleo podcast to see if I can beat you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we can beat me.
Yeah.
Together somehow. Yeah.
We will beat you.
Awesome. Yeah. I'll be beaten one way or another.
For sure.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Esther.
Sure.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me, Will. Take care.
Awesome. Cheers. Awesome. So you can check out the episodes that Esther and I did with Anna Webb on Anna's A Dog's Life podcast. And Anna told us that the episodes that we did with her are some of the most listened to episodes of A Dog's Life, which is very humbling considering the quality of guests that she's had on there before. I'm certain that Esther's background in customer services and speaking to customers about very complex issues has given her a great platform to build on for podcasting. I really wish that video footage of Esther and Anna's Instagram live where the lady joined was still available, because it was honestly absolutely hilarious. I know that doing Instagram lives and live video events and that kind of thing is not in Esther's comfort zone, so I've got a lot of respect for the fact that she does these things and steps out of her comfort zone to do them. What I think is really interesting when it comes to the Paleo Pod is that Esther and I have very different approaches. I actually find it really useful to have a lot of notes and a lot of information in front of me, whereas Esther finds that distracting and prefers just to reel off her knowledge. When it comes to the Marketing Made Clear podcast, I tend to write everything down ahead of the podcast, so I have a huge amount of notes. I don't necessarily read everything exactly as it's written, but I like having that there as a backup. I then use those notes to create all of my website articles, so even if I don't necessarily use them when I'm speaking, I find that they're useful for afterwards. But really, I think it's about finding a system that works for you. There's no right way or wrong way to do it, and Esther and I are great examples of the different ends of the spectrum when it comes to what kind of preparation feels more comfortable for us. Not being too rigid though, like Esther was saying, is a definite takeaway. And I definitely don't want to sound like I'm reading notes off a podcast, because I don't think that sounds particularly interesting to listen to. Bringing fun and entertainment is something I really feel strongly about as well, and some of the podcasts I listen to are quite dry topics like history, but the delivery with jokes and the funny anecdotes and stuff around it make it really great to listen to. The Marketing Made Clear podcast is just recorded at my home studio for the main episodes, with interviews being recorded over Teams or now Riverside. So it's really different to the Paleo podcast, which is recorded in the office, but also we're trialling Riverside too. Obviously recording in the office has an effect on audio quality, but perhaps that's kind of authentic or something like that for the podcast, I don't know. Recording with all those distractions is actually really difficult, and when we're talking about some of the more in-depth topics, which are scientific, it's tough to keep focused with a pigeon fornicating in a bush, or a train going past your car, or even when people were peering into your car when you're parked in the XL car park in London. But I feel like if you can do that recording a podcast in a home studio is a doddle. Thanks so much to Esther for the words of encouragement. And I'll always try and be myself on the podcast, good or bad. And it's amazing that Esther thinks I'm funny. Comedy is such an individualistic kind of thing, like music, I guess, because people have all these different types of tastes. And I definitely have a unique style of doing certain things. I couldn't have put that better myself. Thank you, Esther. And yes, Marketing Made Clear is the 94th most popular business podcast at the moment in the UK. It's not quite good enough to put on my CV, but I'm pretty chuffed given how early doors this is. So massive thanks to Esther for her support and appearing on the podcast. And if you haven't listened to already, check out the main episode which covers my journey into podcasting. Esther makes an appearance on that one too. I'll leave you with the one-off theme one more time. There you go.
Step into the scene with a fierce fire. From the ground up, we'll take you higher. In the rhythm of progress, we find our beat. Hustling every day, we can't be beat. Marketing made clear, we're here to educate. From beginners to pros, we'll elevate. Bringing the insight like a blazing spark. Together we'll conquer, leaving our mark. Marketing made clear, we're here to educate. From beginners to pros, we'll elevate. Bringing the insights like a blazing spark. Together we'll conquer, leaving our mark. Marketing made clear, we're here to educate. From beginners to pros, we'll elevate. Bringing the insights like a blazing spark. Together we'll conquer, leaving our mark.